The Galactic Council building floated in the empty space between three star systems. It was old. Very old. 12,000 years of politics, wars, treaties, and betrayals had happened inside its walls. Every important species in the known galaxy had a seat here. Every powerful empire sent their best diplomats, their smartest scientists, and their strongest warriors. But nobody sent guards. That was the strange thing about humans. Ambassador Keth Varan of the Silitheth Dominion stood near a window that showed 1,000,000 stars. His long body was covered in silver scales, and his 4 arms were folded across his chest. He was watching the human guards at the main entrance of the council chamber. There were 6 of them. They wore simple gray uniforms. They carried weapons that looked old and basic compared to plasma rifles and neural disruptors. They stood very still, watching everyone who passed. Keth Varan let out a sound that was like laughter. "Look at them," he said to his assistant. "The newest species in the council, and they ask to be guards." Guards, like servants at a door. His assistant, a younger Silitheth named Veth, looked at the humans with confusion. "I do not understand their request, Ambassador. Why would any species want such a low position?" "Because they are weak," Keth Varan said simply. "They know they cannot compete with us in science. They cannot match the Velkarian warfare. They cannot trade like the crystalline hegemony. So they take what they can get." He turned away from the window. "It is almost sad. They are soft creatures. No armor, no venom, no telepathy. One good strike and they die. I have seen their medical files. They do not even have backup organs." Veth nodded slowly. "The archivists say they come from a small planet. Class 7. Nothing special. Nothing special at all." Keth Varan agreed. "Let them stand at the doors. It keeps them busy while the real powers run the galaxy." At that very moment, Commander Sarah Chen stood at her post near the eastern entrance. She had heard every word through her helmet's translator. The device was small and hidden, and it could pick up conversations from 50 meters away. She did not react. Her face stayed calm. Her body stayed still. This was part of the training. Human guards were taught to hear insults and say nothing. They were taught to watch and wait and remember. Private Thomas Reyes stood next to her. He was younger, maybe 25 years old. This was his first year at the council. He had heard the Silith ambassador too, and Chen could see his jaw tighten with anger. "Easy," she said quietly, her voice too low for anyone else to hear. "Let them talk. They think we're nothing," Reyes whispered back. "Good," Chen said. "That is exactly what we want them to think." Reyes looked at her with surprise, but he did not ask more questions. He had learned that Commander Chen always had reasons for what she said. He just did not know those reasons yet. The truth was that nobody in the Galactic Council understood humans. They saw small bodies and soft skin. They saw slow reflexes and short lives. They saw a young species that had only been traveling between stars for 300 years. What they did not see was everything else. Humans came from Earth. Earth was not a Class 7 planet. The archivists had made a mistake in their records, or perhaps someone had changed the records on purpose. Earth was actually a Class 12 death world. The gravity was strong, the weather was violent, the animals were dangerous, disease was everywhere. Most species in the galaxy had evolved on peaceful worlds. They became the top predators quickly. They grew powerful and smart without much challenge. When they finally reached space, they had never really learned to struggle. Humans were different. Humans had struggled for 3 million years. Every day was a fight against hunger, cold, heat, predators, and sickness. The ones who survived were not the strongest or the fastest. They were the ones who could watch, wait, and think. This created something that no other species had. Humans called it intuition. Scientists called it pattern recognition. But it was really 3 million years of survival instinct packed into a brain that never stopped working, even when its owner was not aware of it. Commander Chen looked at the Silith ambassador as he walked past her. She noticed the way he moved. She noticed the small tension in his third arm. She noticed the way his eyes moved to certain delegates and avoided others. She noticed the slight chemical smell that came from his scales when he passed the Velkari section. She did not think about these things consciously. Her brain simply recorded them, processed them, and stored them away. Later, maybe in her dreams, these small details would connect to other details. Patterns would form, and she would know things that she could not explain how she knew. This was the human secret. This was why they wanted to be guards. They were not guarding the doors. They were guarding the future. On the other side of the council chamber, High Archon Velmoth of the Velkari Empire was having a private conversation with his advisors. The Velkari were tall creatures with hard shells and many eyes. They were the greatest warriors in the galaxy. Their empire controlled 200 star systems. The Century Summit is in 3 days, Velmoth said. All 347 member species will attend. It is the perfect opportunity. His chief advisor, a battle-scarred veteran named Cross, nodded his heavy head. The Primarch will give the opening speech. If something were to happen during that speech, chaos. Velmoth finished. Every species would blame each other. Old hatreds would surface. And in that chaos, we could expand our borders without anyone noticing. What about security? Cross asked. Velmoth made a clicking sound that meant amusement. Security? The Council uses those human guards now. Soft little creatures who stand at doors and do nothing. They are decorations, not soldiers. And the Council's own security forces? They are spread thin. 347 species means 347 different security demands. No one is watching the big picture. Cross thought about this. It could work, but we would need the right agent. Someone who cannot be traced back to us. I have someone, Velmoth said. A Velkari who has been living among the council staff for 6 years. He is trusted, he is invisible, and he is ready. The two warriors looked at each other with understanding. In 3 days, the galaxy would change forever, and nobody would see it coming, except someone was already watching. Private James Wong stood near the water fountain, 30 meters from where Velmoth was talking. He was drinking water and looking at nothing in particular, but his helmet was recording everything. His brain was processing the body language, the micro-expressions, the slight changes in voice tone. He did not understand Velkari language. He did not need to. He could see that something secret was being discussed. He could see that Velmoth was excited and nervous at the same time. He could see that this was not normal political talk. That night, James Wong had strange dreams. He dreamed of the Primarch falling. He dreamed of screaming and chaos. He dreamed of fire spreading across the stars. He woke up with a bad feeling in his stomach. He could not explain it. He just knew that something terrible was coming. He reported his feeling to Commander Chen. She listened carefully, asked a few questions, and then nodded. "Keep watching," she said. "Trust your instincts." Wong did not know that Chen had received 17 similar reports from other guards that week. He did not know that Human Command was already building a picture of what was coming. He did not know that somewhere on Earth, thousands of sleeping humans were dreaming the same dreams. Their networked minds working together on a problem they did not consciously know existed. The galaxy thought humans were weak. The galaxy thought humans were simple. The galaxy thought humans were decorations at the door. The galaxy was wrong. And in 3 days, everyone would learn the truth. The Century Summit was the biggest event in the galaxy. It happened once every 100 years. All 347 member species of the Galactic Council came together in one place. Leaders, diplomats, scientists, warriors, and traders filled the Great Hall until there was no space left. Commander Sarah Chen stood at her post near the main stage. The Great Hall was enormous. It could hold 50,000 beings at once. Today, it was almost full. The noise of hundreds of different languages mixed together into a constant hum. Chen's eyes moved slowly across the crowd. She was not looking for anything specific. She was just watching, noticing, recording. Private Thomas Reyes stood 15 meters to her left. Private Wong was near the back exit. 12 other human guards were positioned around the hall. They looked small and unimportant compared to the giant Velkari warriors and the gleaming crystalline delegates. Nobody paid attention to them. That was exactly how Chen wanted it. The Primarch of the Velkari walked onto the stage. He was the leader of the most powerful military empire in the galaxy. His shell was dark red, decorated with gold symbols that showed his rank. His many eyes looked out at the crowd with confidence. "Welcome," the Primarch said, his voice booming through the translation systems. "For 100 years, we have maintained peace among the stars. Today, we come together to renew our commitment to that peace." The crowd made sounds of agreement. Different species had different ways of showing approval. Some clapped, some clicked, some changed colors. The noise filled the hall. Chen watched the stage, but she also watched the crowd. Her brain was processing thousands of small details, the way certain delegates leaned forward, the way others looked away, the nervous movements, the hidden smiles. Something felt wrong. She could not explain it. It was like a cold feeling in her stomach, like when you walk into a dark room and you know someone is there, even though you cannot see them. Chen touched her earpiece. All units, report. One by one. Her guards responded. Wang felt something strange near Section 7. Reyes noticed unusual movement from a Valkyrie attendant near the stage. Private Kim saw a delegate leave suddenly through a side door. None of these things were proof of anything. They were just feelings, just instincts. But human instincts had been right before. On stage, the Primarch continued his speech. We have faced challenges. We have faced threats. But together, we have always found a way forward. Together, we are stronger than any enemy. A Valkyrie attendant moved closer to the stage. He carried a tray of ceremonial drinks. This was normal. Important speakers often drank during long speeches. Nobody looked at him twice, but Reyes was watching. The attendant's third arm was trembling. It was a tiny movement, almost impossible to see. But Reyes saw it. His brain flagged it as wrong. Valkyrie warriors had perfect control of their bodies. They did not tremble. Reyes also noticed something else. The attendant was breathing faster than normal. His shell was slightly darker than it should be. These were signs of stress, signs of fear, signs of someone about to do something dangerous. Commander, Reyes said quietly into his communicator. The attendant with the drinks. Third arm tremor. Elevated stress indicators. Chen's eyes moved to the attendant. She saw what Reyes saw, and she saw more. The attendant was avoiding eye contact with the Primarch. This was wrong. Valkyrie attendants were trained to watch their leaders at all times. It was a sign of respect and loyalty. This attendant was not loyal. This attendant was hiding something. All units, prepare to move on my signal, Chen said. On stage, the Primarch reached for a drink. The attendant held the tray steady. For one moment, everything was frozen. Then the Primarch drank. 3 seconds later, he started to shake. His many eyes went wide. His voice stopped in the middle of a word. He reached for his throat with all 4 arms. Then he fell. The crowd erupted into chaos. Screams filled the hall. Species that had been enemies for centuries turned on each other immediately. Accusations flew like weapons. The Silith did this. It was the hegemony, treachery, war. Delegates ran for the exits. Security forces from different species pushed against each other. Someone fired a weapon, then another. The situation was spinning out of control, but the human guards were already moving. Chen's voice cut through the chaos on the secure channel. Lock down all exits. Wang, seal Section 7. Kim, block the side corridors. Reyes, stay on the attendant. Everyone else, form a perimeter. The human guards moved fast. They were not the strongest beings in the room. They were not the most heavily armed, but they moved with perfect coordination, like parts of a single machine. Within 90 seconds, every exit was blocked. No one was leaving the Great Hall. Reyes kept his eyes on the attendant. The Valkyrie was trying to move toward a back door. He was walking calmly, like he had nothing to hide. But Reyes could see the fear in his movements, the way he checked over his shoulder, the way his hands were clenched. Commander, the attendant is heading for exit 12, Reyes reported. Intercept, Chen ordered. Reyes moved through the crowd. He did not run. He did not push. He simply walked with purpose, his path calculated to reach the exit before the attendant. The attendant saw him coming. Their eyes met. For one moment, the Valkyrie's confidence broke. He saw something in the human's eyes that scared him, something that should not be there in such a weak, soft creature. He saw certainty. The attendant ran. Reyes ran after him. The Valkyrie was faster, stronger, and knew the building better. But Reyes did not chase like other predators. He did not follow the straight path. He predicted. His brain calculated where the attendant would go. Not where he was going now, but where he would turn next, where he would try to hide, where he thought he was safe. Reyes cut through a side corridor. He climbed through a maintenance shaft. He dropped down into a narrow hallway just as the attendant came around the corner. The Valkyrie stopped. He could not believe what he was seeing. The human was already there, waiting. How? The attendant gasped. Reyes did not answer. He raised his weapon. Back in the Great Hall, Commander Chen was coordinating the other captures. Wang had identified the handler, a crystalline traitor who had been passing information. Kim had found 3 backup assassins hidden in the crowd. Within 3 minutes, the entire plot was exposed. The chaos slowly died down. The screaming stopped. The accusations faded into confused silence. Everyone was looking at the human guards. Small, soft, weak human guards who had just done the impossible. Ambassador Kethvaran pushed through the crowd toward Chen. His silver scales were shaking with shock. "How did you know?" he demanded. "How did you see the assassin? Our scanners detected nothing. Our telepaths sensed nothing. How did you know?" Chen looked at him calmly. Her face showed no emotion. "We watched. But how did you see?" Chen did not answer. She simply returned to her post. There was still work to do. The Primarch was dead. The killer was caught. But the questions were just beginning. Behind her, the delegates of 347 species stared at the human guards with new eyes. They had laughed at these creatures. They had called them decorations. They had ignored them completely. Now they were afraid, because they had seen something today that they could not explain. They had seen the impossible happen. They had seen the weakest species in the galaxy solve a mystery in minutes that should have taken days, and they were starting to realize that maybe, just maybe, they had been wrong about humans. Maybe there was something hidden behind those soft faces and slow bodies, something that no scanner could detect, something that no telepath could read, something dangerous. The human guards returned to their posts. They stood still and quiet, watching everything and saying nothing, just like before, but everything was different now. The galaxy would never look at them the same way again, and this was only the beginning. The tribunal chamber was deep inside the council building. It was a place where the most serious matters were discussed. The walls were made of dark stone that absorbed sound. The ceiling was so high it disappeared into shadow. 7 seats rose above the floor like thrones. This was where the High Inquisitors sat. No tribunal had been called in 3,000 years. The last one had been to judge a species that had tried to destroy a star. That species no longer existed. Today, the tribunal was called for humans. General Marcus Webb walked into the chamber alone. He was 63 years old. His hair was gray. His face was lined with age. He wore a simple military uniform with no decorations. He looked tired. He looked ordinary. He looked human. The 7 High Inquisitors stared down at him. They came from the oldest and most powerful species in the galaxy. High Inquisitor Zalmoth of the Void Weavers sat in the center. He was a being of pure energy contained in a crystal shell. His kind had been traveling between stars when most species were still living in caves. "General Webb," Zalmoth said. His voice echoed in the chamber like thunder. "You will explain how your species accomplished what happened at the Century Summit." Webb stood straight. He did not look afraid. "What would you like to know, High Inquisitor?" "Everything." Zalmoth's form flickered with anger. "Your guards identified an assassin that our best scanners could not detect. They found a plot that our telepaths could not sense. They moved with coordination that should be impossible without a hive mind. You will explain how this was done." Webb nodded slowly. "Before I answer, may I ask a question?" The Inquisitors looked at each other. This was unusual. Beings who stood before the tribunal did not ask questions. They answered them. "Ask," Zalmoth said. "What do you know about human evolution?" There was silence. The Inquisitors did not expect this question. High Inquisitor Velthera of the Silith spoke. "You evolved on a small planet called Earth. Class 7. Standard development. You discovered space travel, approximately 300 of your years ago. You are one of the youngest species in the Council." Webb smiled slightly. "Your information is wrong." The chamber grew colder. No one corrected the High Inquisitors. "Earth is not Class 7. Webb continued. "It is Class 12, a death world. The classification was changed in our records because we asked for it to be changed. We did not want anyone to know the truth." Zalmoth leaned forward. "Explain." "Every species in this council evolved to be the best on their world. You became apex predators, top of the food chain. You grew strong and smart because you had to beat the competition. Then you reached space and found others like yourself. Powerful, dangerous, equal." Webb paused. "Humans are not apex predators. We never were. On Earth, everything was trying to kill us. The weather could kill us. The animals could kill us. The water could kill us. Even the plants could kill us. We did not win because we were stronger. We won because we refused to die. This does not explain your abilities, Jalmoth said. It explains everything, Webb replied. You see, High Inquisitor, when a species is always in danger, it develops certain skills. Not strength, not speed, something else, something that helped us survive when everything was against us. He tapped the side of his head. We call it intuition. But that word is too simple. What it really is 3 million years of survival instinct packed into our brains. Our minds never stop watching, never stop analyzing, never stop looking for threats. Webb started to walk slowly around the chamber. The Inquisitors watched him with growing unease. When Private Reyes looked at that assassin, he did not consciously see the trembling arm. He did not consciously notice the stress signals. His brain saw these things and processed them without his awareness. His conscious mind only received the result. A feeling, a warning. Something is wrong. Impossible. High Inquisitor Krath of the Velkari said. No brain can process information without conscious awareness. Your brains cannot, Webb agreed. You evolved as apex predators. You never needed to detect hidden threats. You were the threat. But humans spent millions of years being hunted. The ones who could not sense danger died. The ones who could sense it lived and had children. Over time, this became part of our basic nature. Webb stopped walking and faced the Inquisitors directly. We see things you cannot see. Not because our eyes are better. Because our brains are wired differently. We read body language, micro-expressions, and subtle changes in behavior that you do not even know exist. We can tell when someone is lying. We can sense when someone is dangerous. We can feel when something bad is about to happen. This is the ability you have hidden? Jalmoth asked. This is part of it, Webb said. But this is not what makes us truly dangerous. This is just biology. Evolution. Any species could develop this if they lived on a death world long enough. The chamber fell silent. The Inquisitors looked at each other with something like fear. There is more? Belthara asked quietly. There is more, Webb confirmed. But first I must ask you another question. Do you know why humans sleep? The question seemed strange. Random. The Inquisitors did not understand. All species rest, Krath said. It is necessary for biological maintenance. Yes, but humans do not just rest. We dream. Do you know what dreams are? We have read about them, Jalmoth said. Random neural activity during unconsciousness. Meaningless. Webb smiled again. This time, the smile was not friendly. That is what we told the galaxy. That is what we wanted you to believe. But dreams are not random. Dreams are not meaningless. He walked closer to the Inquisitors. His voice dropped lower. When humans sleep, our brains run simulations. Millions of them. Every night. Our unconscious minds take all the information we gathered during the day and process it. They look for patterns. They predict outcomes. They solve problems that our conscious minds cannot solve. You are saying your brains work while you sleep? Jalmoth asked. I am saying our brains never stop working, Webb replied. And I am saying we learn to use this. We learn to connect our sleeping minds together. We learn to share our dreams. The temperature in the chamber seemed to drop. Every human guard in this council is part of a network. Every night, when they sleep, their dreams are connected. 12,000 human minds working together on problems they do not consciously know exist. They process every conversation, every meeting, every suspicious movement they witness during the day. They share information. They find patterns. They predict the future. Jalmoth's crystal shell flickered rapidly. This is not possible. It is not only possible, Webb said. It has been operational for 200 years. We did not just find that assassin at the summit. We knew about the plot 3 weeks before it happened. We knew who was involved. We knew the backup plans. We knew everything. The chamber was completely silent now. The High Inquisitors, the most powerful beings in the galaxy, were staring at this old human with something that looked like terror. And that is still not the secret that could end civilizations, Webb said quietly. That secret, I will tell you next. But I warn you, High Inquisitors, once you know, you cannot unknow. And it will change how you see humans forever. He waited. The silence stretched on. Finally, Jalmoth spoke. His voice was different now. Smaller. Tell us. Webb nodded. Very well. But remember, you asked for this truth. You demanded it. What comes next is on your shoulders, not mine. And then he told them everything. General Webb stood in the center of the tribunal chamber. The 7 High Inquisitors looked down at him from their raised seats. The air felt heavy. Every being in the room understood that something important was about to happen. You asked what could end civilizations. Webb said, I will show you. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a small device. A holographic display appeared in the air above him. It showed a map of the galaxy. Thousands of tiny lights marked the positions of different species and their territories. This is the galaxy as you know it, Webb said. 347 member species, 12 major empires, countless smaller nations, all held together by the Galactic Council, all at peace, more or less. He pressed a button. The display changed. Now it showed lines connecting different points. Red lines. Hundreds of them. This is what lies beneath the surface. The Inquisitors leaned forward. The red lines showed something disturbing. They showed connections between species that should not be connected. Secret alliances. Hidden conflicts. Plans within plans. What are we looking at? Zalmoth asked. These are the threats we have identified in the last 10 years. Webb said. Every red line is a potential disaster. A war that could start. An assassination that could happen. A betrayal that could destroy an alliance. He pointed to a cluster of lines near the Celiath territory. The Celiath Dominion has been secretly expanding into the neutral rim for the past 15 years. They have established hidden colonies on 17 worlds. When they reveal this expansion, it will break 3 different treaties and start a conflict with the Velkari Empire. High Inquisitor Velthara of the Celiath made a sharp sound. How do you know this? Webb ignored the question. He pointed to another area. The crystalline hegemony has been developing a weapon capable of destroying stars. They call it Project Sunfall. It is 70% complete. When it is finished, they will have the power to eliminate any species they choose. The crystalline representative on the council flickered with shock. This information is classified at the highest level. No one outside our inner council knows about this project. We know, Webb said simply. He moved through the display, pointing out threat after threat. A planned coup in the Voidweaver government. An economic attack that would collapse 3 different species currencies. Assassination plots against 12 different leaders. Secret weapons programs. Hidden invasions. Biological weapons. Political sabotage. The list went on and on. How long have you known about these things? Zalmoth asked. His voice was barely a whisper. Different amounts of time, Webb said. Some we discovered last month. Some we have known about for decades. And you did nothing? Webb smiled. It was not a happy smile. We did everything. He pressed another button. The red lines on the display started to disappear. One by one, they faded out. The Celiath expansion has been slowed. Key supply lines have experienced mysterious problems. Important documents have been lost. Crucial votes in their Senate have gone the wrong way. They will not be ready to reveal their colonies for another 20 years. By then, we will have found a peaceful solution. You sabotaged us? Velthara hissed. We saved you. Webb corrected. If you had revealed those colonies now, the Velkari would have declared war within a day. 50 billion lives would have been lost in the first month. Your empire would have been destroyed within 3 years. He turned to the crystalline representative. Project Sunfall will experience a critical failure in 6 months. The failure will look like an accident. Your scientists will conclude that the technology is simply too dangerous to develop. No one will ever know that we were involved. You cannot do this, the crystalline being said. You have no right to interfere with our internal affairs. We have every right, Webb said. His voice was hard now. Cold. Because if we do not interfere, civilizations die. Stars go dark. Species go extinct. The peace that has lasted for 12,000 years ends in fire and blood. He turned off the holographic display. The chamber fell dark. This is what humans really do. Webb said. We do not guard doors. We guard the future. Every night, 12,000 human minds dream together. They process every piece of information our guards have gathered. They run simulations. They predict what will happen if nothing changes. And then we change things. You control the galaxy, Zalmoth said. There was horror in his voice. No, Webb replied. We protect the galaxy. There is a difference. We do not choose who wins and who loses. We do not favor one species over another. We simply stop the disasters before they start. We redirect the worst impulses. We give everyone a chance to be better. The High Inquisitors looked at each other. They had ruled this galaxy for thousands of years. They had believed they were the most powerful beings in existence. Now they learned that a species they had ignored and laughed at had been quietly steering events all along. And if we refuse to accept this, Krath asked, if we expose what you have told us, if we turn the galaxy against humanity? Webb nodded. He had expected this question. Then we stop, he said simply. What? We stop protecting, we stop watching, we stop interfering. Webb's voice was flat. We pull every human guard from every post. We shut down the dreaming network. We pack our bags and go home to Earth. And we let the galaxy do whatever it wants to do. He began to list what would happen. Without our interference, the Silith expansion will be revealed within a year. War with the Velkari will follow. The crystalline hegemony will complete Project Sunfall and use it to destroy the Silith homeworld. The Velkari will respond by unleashing their own weapons. The Void Weavers will try to mediate and fail. Within 5 years, half the species in this galaxy will be dead or dying. You are bluffing, Velthura said, but her voice shook. Am I? Webb asked. Think about it, High Inquisitor. How many disasters have been avoided in the last 200 years? How many wars have simply never started? How many assassination attempts have mysteriously failed? You thought it was luck. You thought it was coincidence. It was us. It was always us. He walked toward the door. He moved slowly, like a man who had done his job and was ready to rest. This is the secret that could end civilizations, he said without turning around. It is not that we are powerful. It is that we are necessary. You have built a galaxy of ambitious, aggressive, dangerous species. You have given them terrible weapons and small spaces. Without someone watching, without someone nudging, without someone stopping the worst mistakes before they happen, you will destroy yourselves. He stopped at the door. We did not want to be guards because we are weak. We wanted to be guards because it is the only position where we can see everything, where we can watch every species, every leader, every plan, where we can do what we do best. He finally turned to face them one last time. We are the only thing standing between this galaxy and extinction. And now you know it. The question is, what will you do with that knowledge? The door opened. Webb walked through it. The High Inquisitors sat in silence for a long time. They had started this tribunal to judge humanity. They had expected to find answers that made sense. Instead, they had found something that changed everything they believed about power, about control, and about the future of all living things. Outside the chamber, General Webb walked down a long corridor. His footsteps echoed in the empty hallway. His shoulders were bent. His face was tired, but deep inside, he felt something that might have been hope. The truth was out now. Whatever happened next, at least there would be no more lies, no more hiding, no more pretending to be weak. For better or worse, the galaxy finally knew what humans really were, and now, everything would change. The tribunal was never officially recorded. The archivists, beings who had documented every important event in galactic history for 10,000 years, chose to leave their records empty. For the first time in their existence, they decided that some knowledge was too dangerous to preserve, but secrets have a way of spreading. In the weeks that followed, strange things began to happen across the galaxy. Things that had no official explanation. Things that nobody talked about but everybody noticed. The Silith Dominion quietly abandoned their expansion into the neutral rim. The hidden colonies were dismantled. The secret military bases were closed. When asked why, the Silith leaders simply said they had changed their priorities. No one believed them, but no one asked further questions. The crystalline hegemony announced that Project Sunfall had been permanently cancelled. A statement was released explaining that the technology was too unstable for practical use. 3 of the lead scientists retired early. 2 others requested transfers to different projects. The weapon that could destroy stars was forgotten, as if it had never existed. 17 governments across the galaxy experienced sudden changes. Old leaders stepped down. New leaders took their place. The transitions were peaceful. The changes were smooth. Nobody could explain why so many governments had decided to reform at the same time, and through it all, the human guards remained at their posts. Commander Sarah Chen stood at the eastern entrance of the council chamber, just as she had done before the summit. Her uniform was the same gray color. Her weapon was the same basic model. She looked exactly like she had looked before, but everything was different now. When delegates walked past her, they no longer ignored her. They nodded. They made small gestures of respect. Some of them even looked nervous, as if they were afraid of what she might see in their eyes. Ambassador Keth Voran of the Silith approached her one morning. He moved slowly, carefully, like someone walking toward a sleeping predator. "Commander Chen," he said. His translator struggled with the tone he was trying to create. It was somewhere between respect and fear. "Ambassador," Chen replied. Her voice was calm and neutral. Keth Voran stood beside her for a moment, looking out at the busy corridor. Delegates from 100 species moved back and forth, going about their business. Everything looked normal. Everything looked peaceful. "I have a question," Keth Voran said finally. "If you will answer it, I will try." The ambassador was silent for a moment. When he spoke again, his voice was very quiet. "Do you dream of us, Commander? Do your people dream of the Silith?" Chen considered the question. It was the first time anyone had asked her directly about the dreaming network. She had expected anger. She had expected fear. She had not expected this simple, almost sad question. "Every night," she said. "We dream of everyone. And what do you see?" Chen turned to look at the ambassador. For a moment, she let her guard down. She let him see something real in her eyes. Not a threat, not a warning, something softer. "I see potential," she said. "I see a species that has made mistakes, that has been aggressive and greedy and sometimes cruel. But I also see a species that can change, that can be better, that can choose peace instead of war." Keth Voran's scales shifted color slightly. It was the Silith expression of deep emotion. "You truly believe this? After everything we have done? After we laughed at your kind and called you weak? We have been watching you for a long time, Ambassador. We have seen the worst of what you can do, but we have also seen the best. We have seen Silith who risked their lives to save others. We have seen kindness and courage and love. Every species has darkness in them. Every species also has light." She looked back at the corridor. "Our job is not to judge you. Our job is to give you the chance to be better, to stop the disasters before they start, to let the good parts of your nature win over the bad parts." Keth Voran was silent for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was different, softer, almost humble. "I spent 50 years in galactic politics," he said. "I thought I understood power. I thought I understood how the galaxy worked. But I was wrong. You humans have shown me that true power is not about weapons or armies or territory. True power is about seeing what others cannot see, about stopping problems before they begin, about protecting people from their own worst choices." He turned to face Chen directly. "I owe you an apology, Commander. I called your kind decorations. I said you were beneath us. I was a fool." Chen smiled. It was a small smile, but it was real. "You were not a fool, Ambassador. You were just looking at the surface. Most people do. It is easier to see what is obvious than to see what is hidden. And now that we know the truth, now you have a choice," Chen said. "You can be angry. You can feel threatened. You can try to fight against what we do. Or you can accept it. You can understand that we are not your enemies. We are your guardians. We do not want to control you. We want to help you survive." Keth Voran nodded slowly. "And if we choose wrong? If we decide to oppose you?" Chen's smile faded. Her eyes grew serious. "Then we will leave. And you will have to face the future alone. With all its dangers, with all its disasters, without anyone to catch you when you fall." The ambassador shuddered. He had read the reports from the tribunal. He knew what General Webb had said. He understood, perhaps for the first time in his life, how close the galaxy had come to destroying itself. How close it still was. "We will not choose wrong," he said quietly. "At least, I will not. I cannot speak for all Silith, but I will do what I can to help them understand." Chen nodded. "That is all we ask, Ambassador. Not perfection. Just effort. Just the willingness to try." Keth Voran walked away. He moved slowly, thoughtfully, like someone carrying a heavy weight. But there was something different in his posture, something that looked almost like hope. 6 months later, The galaxy had changed in ways that were hard to measure but impossible to ignore. Trade increased, conflicts decreased, old enemies began to talk. New alliances formed. The human guards remained at their posts. They still wore gray uniforms. They still carried simple weapons. They still stood quietly and watched everything around them. But now, when they walked through the corridors of the council building, people made way for them. Not out of fear, not out of anger, out of respect. Commander Chen stood at her post near the viewport that looked out at the stars. It was late in the station's cycle. Most of the delegates had gone to their quarters. The corridors were quiet and empty. Private Reyes walked up and stood beside her. He was older now, more experienced. The young anger he had felt in his first days had been replaced by something calmer, something wiser. "Do you think it will last?" he asked. "The peace, I mean. Do you think they will really change?" Chen looked out at the infinite darkness, filled with countless points of light. Each light was a star. Each star might have planets. Each planet might have life. The scale of it was beyond human understanding. But humans tried to understand anyway. That was their nature. "I do not know," she admitted. "The future is never certain. People can choose to be good or bad. We can see the patterns. We can predict the dangers. But we cannot control what others decide to do." She turned to face Reyes. "But I believe in them. I believe in all of them. Even the ones who hate us. Even the ones who fear us. I believe that when they understand what is at stake, most of them will choose to do the right thing." Reyes nodded slowly. "And if they do not?" Chen smiled. It was a tired smile, but there was warmth in it. "Then we keep watching. We keep dreaming. We keep trying to show them a better way. That is what humans do, Reyes. We never give up. No matter how bad things get. No matter how hopeless it seems. We keep going until the very end." She looked back at the stars. Somewhere out there, billions of beings were living their lives, making choices, building futures. And every night, 12,000 human minds dreamed together, watching over them all. "We are not here to control the galaxy," Chen said softly. "We are here to protect it, to guide it, to give it a chance to become something wonderful." She placed her hand on the cold glass of the viewport. The stars seemed to shine a little brighter, and one day, maybe they will not need us anymore. Maybe they will learn to see the patterns themselves, to stop the disasters on their own, to choose peace without our help. "Would that not make us useless?" Reyes asked. Chen shook her head. "No. That would mean we succeeded. That would mean we did our job." She turned away from the window and walked back to her post. There was still work to do. There would always be work to do. But for now, the galaxy was at peace, and the human guards would make sure it stayed that way.